People don't ask about OSHO because they want answers. They ask because something feels wrong. Across countries, across languages, across generations, his name keeps resurfacing, not like a solution, but like a disturbance, a reminder. Most people approach him the wrong way. They want a story, a life, a beginning and an end. They want a biography. Osho refused to give them one. When asked about his biography, he said he didn't have one, not because it hadn't been written, but because the very idea was false. A biography records events, dates, places, achievements, but none of these, he said, describe a human being. They only describe a social identity. He dismissed them as irrelevant. The day you were born, the nation you belong to, the language you speak, accidents. He said the only thing that matters is who you are right now, not who you were trained to be, not who you pretend to be, but what remains when all labels are stripped away. When someone mentioned that his biography was being written, he didn't object. He simply said it would be superficial, because all biographies are. They are stories of the ego, never of the self. And that distinction matters, because ego leaves evidence. The self does not. So instead of tracing Osho's life, the darker question is this: why did so many people feel threatened by what he was pointing at? And why does that discomfort still survive decades later? Osho spoke about belief systems with a precision that unsettled everyone. He didn't criticize individual beliefs. He rejected belief itself. I do not believe in anything, he said. I do not believe in believing. These were not poetic statements. They were surgical. He said belief is not truth. Belief is obedience, religious belief, political belief, national belief, different uniforms, same mechanism. Belief, according to him, exists to prevent inquiry, because a person who believes does not look. They repeat. He said he wanted to destroy all belief systems, not replace them, not reform them. Destroy, Catholic or communist, ancient or modern. The labels didn't matter. What mattered was the structure underneath. When challenged, when asked what his own belief system was, he rejected the premise. He said what he did was not a belief system. It did not install ideas. It removed them. He described his work as deprogramming, not conversion, not guidance, cleaning. Bainchi, returning people to the state they were born in, before fear, before ambition, before comparison, before society introduced the idea that something was wrong with them. He said he was not interested in giving people meaning. Meaning, he believed, was a substitute for awareness. He wanted people empty. That word frightened people. Empty. Osho spoke openly about nothingness. He said the deeper you go into yourself, the less you find. Not more. No soul glowing with purpose. No hidden destiny. Only space. A void. And at the very center, nothing. He said this is what Buddha called nirvana. Not heaven, not bliss, but the end of the ego, the end of the idea that I am someone. This is where the unease begins, because ego is not just arrogance. It is identity. Osho defined ego in a way that made people defensive. He said ego is not strength. It is not confidence. It is compensation, a mask worn over inferiority. At the core, he said, there is a wound, a quiet, persistent sense of being insufficient, not enough. So you strive to become more, to be seen, to be acknowledged. That striving becomes your personality. Animals don't have ego. They don't need to. They are not told they are lacking. Only humans are taught that. From childhood, the message is consistent. Become something. Do something. Be someone. Prove that your existence is justified. Education does not remove this wound. It sharpens it. Ambition is praised. Comparison is normalized. Competition is institutionalized. You are ranked, measured, sorted. Your value becomes conditional, based on output. This is called motivation. Osho called it violence, because the message underneath is simple. Who you are is not acceptable. So people run, they collect degrees, titles, wealth, recognition. For brief moments, the pain subsides. A medal, a promotion, applause, and then it returns, stronger, because now there is more to lose. When asked what was wrong with achievement, Osho did not argue. He told a story, a sage, a forest, a rat, a small, frightened creature. The sage protected it, transformed it, rat to cat, cat to cheetah, cheetah to lion. Each transformation solved a problem, until the lion turned on the sage. Power did not bring gratitude. It brought danger. Osho said this is not a parable about ingratitude. It is about scale. The ego grows by solving fear, but each solution increases its appetite, and at a certain size it becomes uncontrollable. In stories, transformation is reversible. In life, it isn't. Once the ego grows, it demands constant feeding, status, attention, validation. The absence of these feels like death. This is not philosophy. It is visible everywhere. The world has more success than ever before, and more depression. Celebrities collapse under pressure. Millionaires speak of loneliness. Presidents remain unsatisfied. There is no finish line. Comparison ensures that. Osho said comparison is the doorway to suffering, because no position is absolute. There is always someone ahead, someone richer, someone admired, someone remembered. Napoleon conquered nations, but was wounded by cartoons, drawings, images of him as small. History remembers his wars. He remembered ridicule. Osho said the ego does not care about reality. It cares about image. That is why power never brings peace, because image is always under threat. Ego creates pleasure and pain simultaneously. Pleasure when you feel superior, pain when you feel inferior. Both are addictions. People say they want to let go of ego, but they only want to let go of pain. They keep the pleasure of winning, of humiliating, of being envied. Osho compared this to placing flowers on an infected wound. Decorative, temporary. The infection remains. Most people don't heal. They decorate better. The darker truth Osho pointed to was this: ego is not an enemy you can fight. The moment you try, it hides behind virtue. Spiritual ego is stronger than social ego. The pride of humility, the arrogance of detachment. So he suggested something colder. Don't fight. Watch. Observe how ego moves, how it reacts, how it demands, and then accept the most terrifying possibility, that beneath it there is nothing. No greatness, no destiny, just awareness. And awareness does not need protection. When ego is not fed, it collapses. Not dramatically, quietly, but here the fear returns. If ego collapses, what remains? Who works? Who builds? Who survives? Society depends on ambition. Without it, everything should stop. Osho said that fear reveals how deeply we've been conditioned. We don't trust action without anxiety. We don't trust effort without fear. We don't trust life unless it is driven by insecurity. He said a person who accepts being nothing can act without pressure, not to prove, not to dominate, but to express. This sounded dangerous, irresponsible, unrealistic, and yet people who listened carefully noticed something else. The most destructive actions in history were driven by egos that needed validation, not by silence, not by emptiness. The real danger, Osho implied, was not egolessness. It was unconsciousness. The resistance always appears at the same point, when ideas stop being philosophical and start threatening routine. Awareness sounds harmless until it begins to interfere with survival structures, jobs, money, status, security. That is where most people stop listening. They say spirituality is impractical. They say the world cannot run on emptiness. They are not entirely wrong. The world as it exists today depends on dissatisfaction. It needs people to feel incomplete, because incomplete people consume more, work longer, compete harder. Osho understood this. He said society is not built to help you discover yourself. It is built to use you, and to do that efficiently, it must keep you slightly unhappy. Enough to obey, not enough to rebel. This unhappiness is carefully managed through comparison, jealousy, fear of falling behind. Osho called jealousy one of the most effective tools ever invented. Not because it hurts you, but because it distracts you. Jealousy forces your attention outward. Someone else's house, someone else's salary, someone else's recognition. Your life becomes a reaction. And reaction is predictable. Predictability is profitable. That is why competition is celebrated. From schools to offices, people are ranked. You are told where you stand. Above someone, below someone else, but never complete. There is no top, only a moving reference point. You climb only to discover another ladder. Osho said this ladder is circular. No matter how high you go, you remain trapped inside it. Everyone is in the middle, looking up, looking down, never looking inward. This constant outward gaze destroys integrity. You stop asking what feels right. You start asking what looks impressive, and slowly your life becomes a performance. This is where people begin to feel trapped, not physically, psychologically. They wake up already tired, not from work, but from pretending. They say they cannot leave, not because they will starve, but because they will lose identity. Their job has become their name. Without it, they are no one. Osho said this fear reveals the depth of conditioning. You were not trained to live. You were trained to function. This conditioning is subtle. It does not arrive with force. It arrives with praise. Good job, good student, good employee. Each compliment tightens the cage, until one day you realize you don't know who you are without approval. Some people notice this early, others never do. Occasionally someone steps out, not heroically, not confidently, but confused. One such person was Vieta Dahia. From the outside, his decisions looked reckless. Engineering, corporate job, quit. Government job, quit. Media job, quit. The pattern frightened people because it violated something sacred, stability. But what people didn't see was what was being tested each time, not ambition, tolerance. How much misalignment could he endure? How long could he silence the discomfort? Each exit was not a leap of faith. It was a refusal to keep lying. That distinction matters, because this was not courage in the cinematic sense. It was exhaustion, the exhaustion of living someone else's life. Society punishes such people quietly, not through force, through doubt. Are you sure? What about the future? What will people say? These questions don't seek answers. They enforce conformity, and most people submit, not because they are weak, but because isolation is terrifying. OSHO said society maintains control by making deviation expensive, emotionally, socially, financially. That is why awareness feels dangerous, because once you see the structure, you cannot unsee it. Modern work, OSHO said, is not designed for fulfillment. It is designed for efficiency. Efficiency is a mechanical value. Machines don't need meaning. Humans do. So humans slowly turn mechanical, repeating tasks, suppressing creativity, performing roles. The more efficient you are, the less alive you feel. This alienation is not accidental. It is systemic. The factory model didn't stop at factories. It entered offices, schools, entertainment. Even art began to follow schedules. Deadlines replaced inspiration. Output replaced expression. OSHO warned that when creativity is reduced to production, the soul suffocates. People don't rebel. They distract themselves. With screens, phones become extensions of the hand. Scrolling becomes automatic. Attention fragments. Silence becomes unbearable. Former tech executives later admitted what OSHO predicted. Platforms are engineered to bypass awareness, to keep users reactive. Every pause measured, every glance tracked, not to help you, to hold you. Shopping followed the same logic. Buying was once intentional. Now it is impulsive. Desire is manufactured. Memory is exploited. You don't need the product. You need relief. Relief from emptiness. Consumption becomes therapy, a temporary numbing, and social media turns it into performance. You don't just buy, you display. Your possessions become proof. Proof that you are not failing. Someone else sees it and feels less, so they buy more. The cycle sustains itself. OSHO said, this is not coincidence. It is design. An unconscious society is easy to manage. A conscious one is dangerous. This unconsciousness extends beyond personal life. Climate change is not just environmental. It is psychological. A few exploit, many ignore, because awareness would require sacrifice, and sacrifice threatens comfort. So people remain distracted, busy, entertained, even as consequences accumulate, floods, heat waves, collapse. But awareness is inconvenient. It asks uncomfortable questions. Why do I need this? Why am I rushing? Why am I afraid of stopping? OSHO said the world does not want your awareness. It wants your productivity. Productivity without awareness is obedience. You can earn money this way. Power, respect, but you lose something quietly. Your sense of being alive, like a machine that functions perfectly but has no idea why. OSHO did not promise happiness. That is important. He promised clarity, and clarity is often disturbing because it shows you that much of your suffering is not imposed. It is internalized. You cooperate with it. You defend it. You call it reality. The ego helps maintain this arrangement. It tells you to compare, to compete, to fear being ordinary. It convinces you that letting go is weakness. That stillness is failure. That ambition is life. OSHO said ambition is postponed living, always later, never now, and later never arrives. So people age. They accumulate. They retire, and suddenly the noise stops. Many don't survive that silence, because without roles there is nothing left to hide behind. This is the darkness OSHO pointed at. Not dramatic, not mystical, structural, quiet. He did not offer escape. He offered exposure. Look at how you are living. Look at what drives you. Look at how little of it is conscious. Awareness does not guarantee peace. It guarantees responsibility. Once you see, you cannot pretend anymore. And that is frightening, because ignorance was comfortable. Awareness, OSHO said, is not a technique. It is not something you practice for improvement. It is not a tool to become better. It is simply seeing, and seeing is irreversible. Once you notice how much of your life is lived mechanically, you cannot return to innocence. You may try to distract yourself again. You may drown the discomfort in work, in entertainment, in noise. But something has shifted. A fracture. OSHO said this fracture is the beginning of intelligence. Not intelligence as society defines it, grades, IQ, efficiency, but intelligence as sensitivity, the ability to see what is happening within you without immediately trying to change it. This is where most people stop, because what they see is not flattering. They see fear beneath ambition, insecurity beneath confidence, loneliness beneath success. They see how much of their identity is borrowed from parents, from institutions, from expectations, and they realize something unsettling. That much of what they call choice was never chosen. It was inherited. OSHO said society does not force you to obey. It teaches you to want obedience. You want to fit in. You want to be praised. You want to be safe, so you participate willingly. This is why control no longer needs chains. People monitor themselves. They censor their thoughts. They shape their desires. They adjust their dreams to avoid standing out, to avoid silence. Silence is dangerous, because in silence there is nothing to distract you from yourself. OSHO said people fear silence more than suffering, because suffering gives you a story. Silence gives you nothing. No excuse, no enemy, no achievement, just presence. And presence exposes the ego without attacking it. You see how often it seeks attention, how it compares, how it feels diminished when someone else shines. You see jealousy arise without reason. You see irritation at others' happiness. And instead of judging it, you watch. OSHO said this watching is enough. Not immediately, not dramatically, but slowly. The ego survives on unconsciousness. When watched, it weakens, not because you fight it, but because it thrives in darkness. This does not make life easier. It makes it clearer, clear enough to see how much of the world depends on you remaining unaware. Advertising, politics, religion, even relationships. Many bonds are built not on love, but on mutual insecurity. Two egos leaning on each other for validation. When awareness enters, some relationships don't survive. Some jobs lose meaning. Some goals collapse. This is why awareness feels destructive, because it dismantles what was built on illusion. OSHO never promised comfort. He said truth is not therapeutic. It is liberating, and liberation is not pleasant, at least not at first, because freedom removes excuses. You can no longer blame society entirely, or parents, or circumstances. You begin to see where you participated, where you compromised, where you remained silent to protect convenience. This is the cost of awareness, and most people decide it is too high. They prefer sleep. They prefer routine. They prefer ambition. They prefer suffering they understand over emptiness they don't. So they return to jobs they dislike, to roles that exhaust them, to comparisons that hurt them. They call it reality. Osho called it conditioning. He did not ask people to renounce the world. He asked them to see it. And seeing changes the relationship. You may still work. You may still earn. But the desperation reduces. The frantic need to prove dissolves. Actions arise from clarity, not fear, not to climb, not to dominate, but to express. This expression may look ordinary. It may never be famous. It may never be rewarded. Osho said that is the final test. Can you live without needing applause, without needing to be special, without needing to be remembered? Because the ego's deepest fear is not failure. It is disappearance. To accept being nobody is to step outside the game. And outside the game, comparison ends. Jealousy loses meaning. Ambition falls silent. What remains is not bliss. It is simplicity. Life happening, unadorned, breathing, working, creating, without narration, without scoreboard, without constant self-reference. Osho said enlightenment is not an achievement. It is the absence of the achiever, and that absence cannot be marketed. It cannot be institutionalized. It cannot be made safe. That is why it is ignored or misunderstood or turned into a belief, because belief is easier than seeing. In the end, Osho left no system, no commandments, no path, only a mirror. And mirrors are unsettling. They don't tell you what to do. They show you what is. What you do with that is your responsibility. Most people will walk away. A few will look longer, and fewer still will remain silent enough to let the seeing do its work. The world will continue. Ambition will be rewarded. Ego will be celebrated. Efficiency will be praised. And beneath it all, the quiet invitation will remain. Uncomfortable, unadvertised, waiting, not for belief, but for awareness.